Invasive species represent one of the most significant threats to biodiversity and ecosystem health worldwide. These are organisms that have been introduced to new environments where they don't naturally belong, and they cause serious harm to native ecosystems, economies, and even human health. Understanding invasive species is crucial for protecting our natural world and the services ecosystems provide to humanity. An invasive species is defined as an organism introduced to a new environment where it does not naturally occur, and that causes ecological or economic harm. 3 key characteristics define invasive species. First, they are non-native, meaning they originate from a different geographic region. Second, they create harmful impacts by disrupting ecosystems, outcompeting native species, or causing economic damage. Third, they spread rapidly, often reproducing quickly and colonizing new areas at an alarming rate. Not all non-native species become invasive, but those that do can have devastating consequences. Species become invasive through several pathways. International trade is a major vector, with organisms hitching rides in cargo ships, shipping containers, and transported goods. Human travel also plays a significant role, as tourists and travelers inadvertently carry organisms across borders in luggage, clothing, or equipment. Intentional introduction occurs when people deliberately bring non-native species for purposes like ornamental gardening, the pet trade, or biological control of pests. Finally, natural dispersal has become increasingly important as climate change enables species to expand their ranges into previously unsuitable habitats. Once introduced, species with certain traits can quickly establish and spread. Successful invasive species share several common characteristics that enable their dominance. Rapid growth allows them to reproduce quickly and reach maturity faster than native competitors. A generalist diet means they can consume many different food sources, making them less vulnerable to resource scarcity. High adaptability enables them to tolerate varied environmental conditions, from different climates to disturbed habitats. High fecundity, or the production of many offspring, ensures their populations grow exponentially. The absence of natural predators in their new environment removes important population controls that would limit their numbers in their native range. Finally, efficient dispersal mechanisms, whether through wind, water, animals, or human activity, allow them to colonize new areas rapidly. These traits combine to make certain species particularly dangerous invaders. The ecological impacts of invasive species are profound and far-reaching. Biodiversity loss occurs when invasive species outcompete native species for essential resources like food, water, light, and habitat space. This competition can drive native species toward extinction, reducing overall biodiversity. Ecosystem disruption happens when invasives alter fundamental ecological processes. They can change food web structures by becoming dominant predators or prey, or by modifying nutrient cycling patterns that native species depend on. Habitat modification is another serious impact, as some invasive species physically transform environments. For example, invasive plants can change soil chemistry, fire regimes, or water availability, making habitats unsuitable for native organisms that evolved under different conditions. Beyond ecological damage, invasive species impose substantial economic and social costs. Agricultural damage is extensive, with invasive plants, insects, and pathogens destroying crops and reducing yields. Invasive species can also transmit diseases to livestock, causing significant losses for farmers and threatening food security. Infrastructure harm occurs when organisms damage buildings, clog waterways, or compromise utilities. For instance, invasive mussels can block water intake pipes, while certain plants can crack foundations and damage roads. Human health threats arise when invasive species serve as disease vectors or introduce new allergens. Invasive mosquitoes spread diseases like dengue fever, Zika virus, and malaria to new regions, while invasive plants can cause severe allergic reactions in human populations. Several invasive species illustrate the severity of this problem. The Burmese python, introduced to the Florida Everglades through the pet trade, has devastated native mammal populations through intense predation, with some species declining by over 90%. Kudzu vine, originally brought to the United States for erosion control, now smothers native vegetation across the southeastern states, covering trees and structures and eliminating native plant communities. The zebra mussel, accidentally introduced through ballast water from ships, clogs water infrastructure and filters vast amounts of plankton from the Great Lakes, altering the entire food web and causing billions of dollars in damage. The Asian tiger mosquito has spread globally and now transmits serious diseases including dengue, chikungunya, and Zika virus to human populations far from its native range. Addressing invasive species requires multiple coordinated strategies. Early detection is critical because controlling a species before it becomes established is far easier and more cost-effective than managing widespread infestations. This requires monitoring programs and rapid response capabilities. Prevention measures form the first line of defense, including strict biosecurity protocols at borders, regulations on international trade, and quarantine procedures for potentially invasive organisms. Control methods vary depending on the species and situation, ranging from mechanical removal and chemical treatments to biological control using natural predators or diseases. However, these methods must be carefully evaluated to avoid creating new problems. Finally, public education is essential for building awareness about the risks of invasive species and promoting responsible practices, such as not releasing pets into the wild, cleaning boats and equipment between water bodies, and choosing native plants for landscaping.
If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.